And welcome to Plan Smart, Retire Well. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Lisa Adosky. She's Vice President of TFG Wealth Management. Lisa, how are you today?
Well, Cynthia, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited to be back together with you, Lisa, because obviously the shows are so amazing. They're so filled with information. And you have such a passion for especially helping women navigate through retirement. Let's talk a little bit about why is that? Why do you have such a passion for helping women?
Well, you know, I really saw the lack of women being involved in the planning of their financial, especially their retirements.
Sure.
They work so long, and a lot of times they sit back and they let their husbands kind of take over the meetings. And I hear a lot of feedback from the women that we work with that, you know, their advisor, they look past them. They don't talk eye to eye. And so they always say, you know, when my husband goes, I'm definitely not going to stay with him because he never treated me as an equal. And that's something we really try to do at TFG, treat everyone as equal and really try to pull the women into the meetings.
Absolutely. And obviously you've been so busy with your family as well. Let's talk a little bit about that because you've had a lot of things happen with your family.
Yes, back in November we lost my dad to a terminal cancer. And
sorry.
Thank you. And you know what, and that's something else as our family with TFG, the outpouring of love our family sent to me and my family, it was so emotional for me to get that love from them. And then as life goes on and the circle of life continues, my daughter gave birth in March to a beautiful baby girl.
Oh, I think we have a picture.
And there's my other baby girl. So I have two little baby girls in my life. My two grandchildren, Isabella is 4.5, and baby Brooklyn is just 1 month.
Absolutely beautiful.
So that's my passion. That's where I get my passion, to do it, to make it better for them in the future.
Oh, and you're such an amazing role model for them to watch, obviously, because you are so amazingly diversified, Lisa. Obviously, I want to talk a little bit about unintended female inequality in financial industry, and I'm so proud of myself for not stumbling over that.
That was wonderful.
I was rehearsing.
That's quite the
Let's talk about it. It is, but let's talk a little bit about that for a moment.
You know, that was one of the first articles I had written. I was coming home actually from an event, a financial event in Charlotte, actually, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I was just thinking about how the speakers were all men. And you know, most of the participants were men in the audience. And I was like, more women need to get involved.
Yeah.
We need to really, you know, just get involved and be in the forefront.
Sure.
So I wrote the article, and we'll talk a little bit about parts of it, because in the article we talked about the sandwich generation, which a lot of us are facing or will be facing sometime.
Sure.
But the article really was my first piece that got me recognized in the women's realm of this in the financial industry. There's a group out there, Females in Finance, and they had me featured for that article. So that was quite...
Oh, what an honor.
It was an honor. It was quite an honor. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know, like, obviously going back in time when you think about it, just from a marriage standpoint, a lot of times the husband always being the head of the household. So often, you know, our moms and grandmothers perhaps just kind of did the cooking, the cleaning, the housekeeping, didn't really pay too much attention to the financial piece. Are you finding that to be the same today, Lisa, or is it changing?
It's changing a little bit, but there is a study out there that 80% of all women are going to be the sole person in charge of the finances, and only 20% feel they're ready for that.
Really?
We live 5 years longer on an average of our male counterparts. So, and if we're not prepared for that, it comes up, you know, and I'll talk about my mom for a moment.
Okay.
Since we're living through that, you know, my dad, a very traditional family, and my dad was the main person. So my mom, of course, I'm helping her navigate the road, and it's not that bad because, he had prepared. He was good. We talked about it. But not everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, oh, maybe I should have kept better, maybe I should have been more involved.
Yeah.
But your dad always did it.
So what can women do today to really take charge of their future, Lisa?
Well, let's talk about that junk drawer that we all have, right?
Okay.
In the
Yes.
kitchen,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it's
okay.
huge. It's overflowing.
It's overflowing.
Let's not go there.
Well, let's go there for a moment, because do we ever want to clean it out?
No, never.
No, because
Never.
it's what is in there. That's the fear.
Yes.
And I don't want to deal with it, so I'm going to leave it there and keep adding to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fear of the unknown is what's stopping a lot of women from really taking charge. So if you're out there and you have that junk drawer, clean it out. Take inventory of what you have and face the planning process
Okay.
head on.
So no time like today, no matter
No
where
time
you...
like today.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're married, doesn't matter if you're single. Do the rules apply differently for someone who's a single professional versus a married woman, Lisa?
Well, the rules apply a little bit different because they have
Okay.
different obstacles to look at. Their taxes are going to be different with
Okay.
single. The way they collect Social Security is going to be different.
Okay.
Long-term care, who's going to care for them? Who's going to care for them if you're single? And the next segment, I would like to talk about the beneficiaries on accounts.
Okay.
So important, and I have a great story to share of a tragic situation that happened to someone that we know.
Okay, so it's something that if you're, obviously, let's say 10 years away from retirement, you might not be thinking about as much rather than being 5 years away from retirement where you would be thinking about more of those things. But having those beneficiaries being spot on and accurate is very important.
Oh, very important. Absolutely. And like
Yeah.
I said, we'll get into the story in the next segment because it's quite powerful.
Okay.
What happened? What could happen if you don't take stock in that? And that's why it's important to clean out that drawer.
Yeah.
Get your statements out. Look at your beneficiaries. Depending on what accounts, what kind of account it is, depending on how the beneficiaries are set up. Every year we check that with our families that work with us. So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, I know we have a very special offer, so I think this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines. Would you agree?
I do. I would agree with that.
Okay. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 888-568-1755. If you have any questions about how to retire with confidence or retire comfortably, we're going to be offering you the Retirement Readiness Review. All you have to do today is pick up the phone and call. And again, this offer is available to only the first 10 callers. The number is 888-568-1755. When we come back, I'm going to let Lisa explain a little bit more in detail about what that roadmap is like, that readiness review, if you will. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Plan Smart, Retire Well. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Lisa Adosky. She's Vice President of TFG Wealth Management. Lisa, when we were going into the commercial break, we talked about what you're offering today, and that is the Retirement Readiness Review. Let's dive into that a little bit further. What does that encompass?
Well, 5 pieces. So your income, let's start with the income.
Okay.
But before we even get into that, let's talk about retirement.
Okay.
So you come in to talk about your retirement. What does that look like to you? Everyone's picture of retirement is different.
Sure.
Do you want to travel? Do you want to spend time with your grandkids? Do you want to garden? Do you want to be similar to my husband and play golf 3 or 4 days a week? What is it you're looking to do in retirement?
Okay.
And then you have your income piece. How do you replace that paycheck that you've now been getting for 40 years? I think the scariest part of retirement is the first week of not getting that paycheck. So how do you replace that? Every day is a Saturday.
Absolutely. And when do you spend the most money?
When do you spend the most money, right?
Typically on a Saturday. So that makes sense. You really want to make sure that you're covered for no matter what you want to do in life.
And there's 3 phases of retirement. There's the go-go,
Yeah.
the first couple years. Then you got the slow go, and maybe your health isn't as good, so you have to slow down. And then the no-go, where you
Yes.
don't spend as much. So you have to adjust for each of those times
That
in your
makes
life.
sense.
Yeah.
Because the face of retirement has changed so much, Lisa. Obviously, in the past, we thought about, people going into retirement. They typically had their retirement cake and their gold watch and their plaque, and then you thought about them just sitting on the front porch drinking lemonade. Well, that's not the case anymore.
No.
People are on the go when they're first retiring. They want to travel. They want to do things with their grandchildren. So what I'd love to hear you talk about is the fact that when someone retires, it's not going to be a change of lifestyle that goes down for them. It should stay the same or actually increase. And you're able to provide that just by designing a really good plan. Basically, you and Mark putting that together in the office.
Absolutely. And then so that you come into the office, you bring your statements, you bring any kind of life insurance policies you may have, long-term care policies, and then we dive into all that.
Yeah.
And we find out what exactly, we take inventory. And as we were talking about in our first segment, people sometimes that's a fear for them, especially you have worked for 40 years, you switched jobs, you have a 401k somewhere. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. It was December of a couple years ago, and one of our families called and said, this envelope has been sitting in our junk pile for months. I finally opened it, and it was an old 401k plan worth $220,000.
Wow.
And
in the junk drawer.
In their junk pile of mail.
I'm going to leave right now and go open my junk drawer. I have to go.
They were ecstatic, of course,
Wow.
But through life, that sometimes happens, and then you'll think, well, really, would I ever really misplace, $220,000? You might, as you get busy, as you're working,
Sure.
and as you're switching and moving forward. So the inventory piece is so important. Take inventory. Don't let the fear of the unknown.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked in the first segment as well about how important it is to make sure that your beneficiaries are properly aligned. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Why is that so important, Lisa?
Well, when you have a 401k and your IRAs, and you have a will, those are 2 separate. So your retirement accounts, the beneficiaries have to be named the right way on those accounts.
Okay.
So every year, when we work with our families, we make sure we check all the beneficiaries, because things happen within families from year to year that they may make adjustments. But Amy, one of our families that has joined us, her son died of a brain tumor at age 40. At the point where he died, he was going through a 7-year divorce. A very bad, bitter divorce.
Yeah.
Had a young child, but never took his ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, off of his company's 401k.
Okay.
So it really was an ugly situation and very hard to help them through.
Yeah.
Because the mom was named on some, and the ex-wife was named on others. So it's a long battle, and they're still going through a lot of court issues.
I have heard that before, Lisa, that is so impossible, and I wouldn't say impossible, but very challenging to fight in court, because if it's on a piece of paper, it's a legal document. So how do you prove that that's not what the person wanted?
Right? You can't.
Yeah, that's very, very
So the
tough.
401ks and the IRAs are going to go to the person that you have.
Oh, wow.
So please take inventory.
Yes, absolutely. So, Lisa, do you go over a lot of these topics in the workshops that you and Mark do? Because I know you're very passionate about education. Let's talk
We
a
are.
little bit about that.
Education. So we believe education is so important to our families and to the people that we work for and with. We don't believe in just having you in and telling. We educate. Mark especially, he comes from a family of educators. So that's a real passion of his. And I think, as you know, talking with him, you could really get that from him.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman.
Oh, absolutely. So so his passion is education, and we just educate our clients. We have events, but they're always wrapped around. Our families like to say they're wrapped around the wine, but they are wrapped around education. We do have some wine, and we have some good food, and we have a lot of fun. But the bottom line is the education. And I think we discussed. We did a self-defense. It was self-defense, but not the physical self-defense. What it was mental self-defense.
Yeah.
And I never got in an elevator the same way after hearing this. It was from an ex-detective.
Okay.
And he just gave us such great ideas. He's like, you get into an elevator and you push the button, and then you go to the back. He said, if a crazy Joe comes in, the worst place you want to be is in the back of that elevator. How are you going to get out?
That's a good point. I've never thought of that either.
know, but
So you're
that's what
supposed
you
to
do.
stay in the front by the buttons?
Stay in the front.
Interesting.
Yep.
These
And
are things that you don't think about unless someone actually points them out to you.
And I was, with all the traveling that we do, I was like, oh my goodness, I will never get in an elevator the same way.
Yeah.
But like he was saying, the room we were in, he said, I could tell you 3 ways to get out of this room. When I came in this room tonight, he said, I look to see how I'm going to get out if there's a situation.
Wow.
So it was such an empowering for the women there. It was a women's event. It was so empowering. And then in the springtime, we had them back to do the physical self-defense, and we had that in a park.
Oh,
we
how
had a party in
fun.
the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was wonderful.
So the physical self-defense. So let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the elbows.
The elbows and the carry mace if it's legal in your state, and know your surroundings. Don't be wearing your earbuds if you're out walking.
Yeah.
Know your surroundings. These kids today, they're on their phones and
Constantly.
they don't know their surroundings. You really have to be careful.
Absolutely.
But a lot of our clients, they brought their younger grandchildren. Well, not younger like my grandchildren, but teenagers.
Yeah.
Just so they could hear. Yeah. So
That's amazing. So all of the events that you host, obviously with the different topics that are important for women, it all comes down to not only the safety, just from a physical standpoint, but also the safety of your finances in the future. And I love how you marry those two things together, because it's so important to look at it like that.
it is. It's very important. And you know what? To get the group of ladies together is so wonderful because they could talk openly, freely. They don't have their counterpart there, maybe, taking over the conversation or telling them maybe that wasn't the, right term that they used. So they really leave there feeling really educated.
And empowered.
Empowered,
It
absolutely.
would be very empowering.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, this is the perfect time for us to reopen up the phone lines. Would you agree?
Gosh, absolutely, yes.
To the viewers at home, the phone number is on your screen, and that is the one to call. The number is 888-568-1755. What you're calling in for today is the the Retirement Readiness Review. I always look at the wrong thing. That's what I'm trying to say, the Retirement Readiness Review. It's a complimentary consultation that Lisa and Mark are offering you. And once again, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call 888-568-1755. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to have so much more with Lisa about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Plan Smart, Retire Well. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Lisa Adosky. She is Vice President of TFG Wealth Management. Lisa, a great show that we're having today, talking about the importance of women in the audience, taking control of their finances, really educating themselves about how to plan properly for retirement.
And it's also a great message for men. If you love the woman you're with, get them involved.
I love that because obviously you would love to see couples coming into the office together because you like to line up what their goals and dreams are for retirement as a couple.
Yes, and they're always very different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have they ever lined up? Have they ever been hand in hand? Ever?
Well, some people do talk about it before they get to us, and so they do have a clear vision, but not all visions are the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the men do retire first, and the women are a little bit behind, a couple years.
Yeah.
We did have one couple that she was going to work 3 more years. Well, that turned into about 3 months, and then she decided to retire, and she came to us and said, "Can I do it? Can I retire?
Mm-hmm.
We really want to travel. We want to, spend time with the grandchildren." And we made it happen because we were able to, do their readiness review and see how we could maneuver their situation.
Oh,
So we try to make people's dreams a reality.
Absolutely.
And it's important if you know your dream of what your retirement's going to look like.
Lisa, let's talk a little bit about what it feels like when someone comes into the office. I know you have fabulous chocolate.
We do. We do have fabulous chocolate, and we actually have fabulous cookies that some families take with them when they leave.
I can see why.
Couple boxes with them. So we have the Travel Channel playing, just so people can sit in peace and almost like, I don't want to say like a spa experience, because that's certainly not what it is, but just to put them at ease.
Sure.
We're not there to sell them something.
Sure.
So they come into the office for the first time. We spend about an hour getting to know. First meetings is getting to know you. Getting to know you, getting to know what your dreams of retirement look like, learning a little bit about your past experience, because that always plays a part.
Sure.
The longevity of your parents. So are you going to need long-term care, or do you need to take care of your parents? Part of the sandwich generation we were talking about earlier. A lot of women, what happens is we retire, and then our parents are getting older, so we're helping take care of them, and then you're helping take care of, some people help take care of their children, adult children, move back into the basement and don't leave.
Sure. And I'm thinking of that because obviously if you're taking care of a parent, let's say you have them in the house, then you have your adult child moving back in, that is completely the sandwich generation. And so your financial needs totally change with that.
Oh my goodness, yes. So when my mother-in-law was sick, I took time off to take care of her.
Yeah.
Our youngest was in high school. So I still remember, she was getting ready for the junior prom, and my mother-in-law was getting ready to go into a nursing home, and to maneuver all that was...
Oh my gosh.
And it was, I remember bringing the pink prom dress in so she could see her granddaughter's prom dress, and it's an emotional time.
Yeah.
But I took the time off. And I left my job for about a year to help her. And at the time, you don't think about what you're actually losing by doing that. I know what I gained and the experiences that we shared over those months. It was a wonderful, but also I lost my 401k contributions. I lost Social Security. So the things that we don't think about.
Sure.
So now we really try to educate women on you don't have to be the caretaker. You could be the care manager. So those are
Absolutely.
things that we don't think about when we're in the situation.
Sure. That makes sense.
So when you have someone to talk to, a trusted advisor to talk to,
Yeah.
you can maneuver that a little better.
Also, I think it's important to mention that the firm is a fiduciary firm. So
We are.
you're putting your clients' needs first. In case someone's in the audience, they don't understand exactly what that means. Can you elaborate a little bit, Lisa?
Yes, so we don't offer any products without knowing your situation. We have to do what's the best interest of our clients, not our best interest. And that's why there's no cutter answer.
Yeah.
That's why we have to get to know you.
So everyone's individual, everyone's goals, their needs are different.
Which makes their
talk-
plan. Every plan is
Absolutely.
different.
And customizable. We've talked about that as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about someone who's come in the office recently. Maybe they were interviewing different advisors, but they chose to work with you and Mark. Why was that?
Well, a lot of people will come in and we'll have our 3 or 4 meetings, sometimes more, and then they'll ask for, can we talk to some of your clients? And then we'll put them in our contact. And one of the feedbacks that we had gotten was, we love working with TFG and Lisa and Mark because they're like the yin and the yang. And that really puts a lot of families at ease because they're getting 2 different perspectives.
balance.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
a nice balance. And so we enjoy that. We use that quite a bit.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun that they said that. And so they interview, you have to go out there, you have to look at different advisors. And we recommend that you do that
Yeah.
because we want to be the perfect fit for you. And not everyone's a good fit.
That's true. That makes senes. But let me ask you, how often do you keep in touch with your clients once they become your client?
Yeah, a lot. Mark
love
does. He does his video vlogs with them. I do the newsletters. I also just keep in contact through an email system, and we share his life events.
Yeah.
Like I said, the birth of the kids, and I get pictures of their kids and who's having. And it's like I said, we are a family.
Absolutely.
We are a family.
And it definitely shows because obviously we've heard over and over how people enjoy coming into the office. They feel like you're specifically taking the time just to listen to them. They never feel rushed.
No.
And that's a huge testimonial to you and Mark because I know you're both very busy and yet you make your clients feel like they are your only client.
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
Well, it's important to us to do that. So we really work that into our schedule.
Absolutely.
And it's important for us to know them, to get to know them as much as they let us. I mean, some
Sure.
people are more private, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We're not looking to pry. But the more we know about them and their situation, the more we can help.
Well, Lisa, thank you for another amazing show this week. It's gone by so fast.
It
I can't wait to
has.
see you again next week. To the viewers at home, most importantly, thank you for spending time with us today. That number to call is 888-568-1755. You're being offered the Retirement Readiness Review, so please don't miss the opportunity to gain one of those consultations. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you next week.